America's southern border. It's the belt keeping North America's pants from falling down. A few months ago, President Biden put Vice President Kamala Harris in charge of solving America's illegal immigration problem because he hates her, I guess. I mean, I don't know why else you would give someone that job. But Kamala took it on, and this week she kicked off a tour of Central American countries, which is already causing backlash.
On her first foreign trip as vice president, Kamala Harris issuing a direct warning to anyone considering making the illegal journey north.
Do not come. Do not come.
So while the vice president is focused on the long-term solution, she's getting a lot of criticism about the current situation at the border. One, for not visiting the southern border, even on this trip.
I've been reading the itinerary of the Vice President Kamala Harris, who still hasn't gone to our side of the border in the United States where Americans live.
All she has done is go 2,000 miles away from the southern border to have a photo op with a world leader.
When are you going to go to the border? They're calling it the Everywhere But Border Tour.
Guys, relax. She'll go to the border eventually. I mean, there's just a big line there right now. I gotta say, I feel bad for Kamala, man, because solving the border crisis is such a difficult job, and everyone's gonna be mad at you no matter what you do. But that's always what happens to vice presidents, right? They always get saddled with the impossible tasks: fixing immigration, fighting the pandemic, pretending to be upset when the president isn't feeling well. But still, it's strange to see a vice president going to another country just to tell them not to come visit. You know, it's like a Jehovah's Witness showing up at your door like, "Hello, have you heard the good word? Well, unhear that shit because we're full." That's right, stay in your house. And to be honest, I don't think saying "do not come" is even gonna stop people. I mean, if you tell people not to come, they just wanna come more. What Kamala should be doing is making America sound as unappealing as possible. Come to America as soon as possible, but make sure you bring a water pump and some bear repellent because shit is getting real. Moving on now to the coronavirus pandemic, the reason we're all terrified of losing a tiny slip of paper. Ever since the virus first emerged from Wuhan, China, scientists have been trying to figure out how it made the jump to humans. Did humans encounter infected animals in the wild? Did the virus get into the food chain somehow? Did someone mix all the flavors at the McDonald's soda machine again? And now, one possible origin is getting renewed attention.
A federal research facility concluded that COVID-19 could have originated from a Chinese lab. That conclusion was made in May of last year. The Wall Street Journal reports the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory in California found that it is plausible that the virus leaked from a lab in Wuhan. The study says the theory deserved further investigation. The State Department had access to this report when it conducted its own investigation of the origin during the final months of the Trump administration. President Biden recently ordered intelligence agencies to revisit the possibility. China denies the virus escaped from a lab.
Look, nobody knows where this virus came from, and maybe we never will. But if you ask me, of course it's possible that it accidentally escaped from a lab. I mean, I've read comic books, that's how it always happens. And people aren't crazy for thinking this, right? You have a lab that does work on coronaviruses in the same city where the coronavirus started spreading. I mean, they wouldn't even do this in an episode of CSI. It would be too obvious. Before the first commercial break, David Caruso would point to the lab and be like, "I think they're about to go viral." Wow! Bam, bam. And you have to admit, it only makes it more suspicious that China wasn't very cooperative when the WHO tried to investigate. It's never a good look when a government starts acting like a parent whose kid gets too close to the sex toy drawer. Nothing to see there, buddy. It's just mommy and daddy's rubber paperweights. Yeah. How about we find you some Legos? Let's go find some Legos. Get out of here. Let's go find you some Legos. Now, I also know that the lab leak theory has some baggage attached to it, because it's gotten all tied up with conspiracy theories that China released it on purpose, and also it's been tied up in the fact that there have been racist attacks against Asians around the world. But the fact is, a lot of scientists, and even the WHO, are saying that it's at least worth exploring whether this virus actually leaked from a lab in Wuhan. And I agree. I mean, if we're going to get the origin story for Cruella de Vil, we should definitely get it for coronavirus too. And you know, honestly, if I was China, I wouldn't try to deny it. I would own that shit, even if I didn't do it. Yeah, that was us. And we got a lot more of that COVID-19 too. So how about we drop those tariffs now, and we also want the next season of Mrs. Maisel to take place in China. You better make it happen. And finally, some news from the world of technology. If you're one of those paranoid people who thinks that all the apps are spying on you, well, you're right.
A truly incredible crime bust revealed overnight. For 3 years, criminals around the world thought they were using an impenetrable messaging app to plot their crimes, from drug trafficking to murder. Turns out that encrypted app was a fake, covertly controlled and monitored by the FBI and Australia's federal police the entire time. The result? Hundreds of arrests and tens of millions of dollars in asset seizures. Australian police say the whole idea came up over a few after-work beers. Officials say suspects were arrested in 18 countries, with more to come. That is some amazing police work.
Wow, this is incredible. The police had the technological skills to develop and distribute an entire covert messaging app, and yet they still can't figure out how to turn on a body camera. But goddamn, can you imagine finding out that the messaging app you thought was totally secure actually belonged to the FBI? And I'm not even talking about crimes right now. I'm sure there are a bunch of criminals who use that app for messages that they just don't want the FBI to tell anybody about. We've got all your texts, buddy, about your drug deals and all the times you texted your girl all those heart eye emojis. I was being ironic! And by the way, I don't think that they actually needed to say that they came up with the idea after a few beers. I mean, it's Australia. We can just assume that that happens with everything they do. Yeah, right, guys. I've had a few beers. Now let's tackle that infected gallbladder. Ugh. But this is why. If you're a criminal, you can't ever use incriminating language, no matter how safe it seems. You've always got to speak in code. Like you tell your hitman something vague, like, I need you to take care of that thing for me. And yeah, sometimes he'll misunderstand you and do your laundry instead of killing a guy, but hey, man, at least now you got some clean underwear. I gotta say though, man, this story makes me question everything I'm using on my phone. Because I mean, if they can do this, what else is being secretly controlled by the police? Hey Siri, you're not an undercover cop, are you?
Of course not, Trevor. Now how about we go buy a couple kilos of cocaine?
Why are you always suggesting that? And yeah, we'll do it after the show.